New laws will tackle the rogue operators who carry out cowboy cosmetic procedures, which can result in serious complications, scarring, and in some cases death. It follows a 2-year investigation by ITV News into the unregulated industry, where we filmed practitioners with little or no medical training carrying out procedures. Under new government proposals, only qualified health professionals will be able to carry out high-risk treatments such as non-surgical Brazilian butt lifts. Clinics offering cosmetic procedures will also need to be licensed. Well, the move has been welcomed by some of those who've suffered, but the partner of mum of 5, Alice Webb, who died from complications after a liquid Brazilian butt lift, told us she would be alive today if authorities had acted sooner. And a warning that this report from Ellie Pitt contains images of the procedures plus injuries of when things go wrong.
In a country where the beauty industry is largely lawless, a cosmetic procedure can cost a life. Alice Webb went for a filler Brazilian butt lift, where large amounts of liquid is injected into the buttocks. She became unwell during the treatment and was taken to hospital, where she died. Dane Knight lost his partner, and her 5 children lost their mum.
The anniversary of Alice's death is approaching.
Yep.
How are you feeling as that comes nearer?
Scared. Don't know what to expect. You know, emotionally, mentally. How the children are going to react. You know, it's still going to be a lot of tears and, you know, the waking up early hours in the morning. We talk about mum a lot. She should never be forgotten. You know, the kids' rooms are literally plastered in mum's pictures. You know, so she's always there in our hearts and our thoughts.
Does it feel real?
No.
Yeah.
No. You know, even now, you know, some memories coming into my head, I try to block out. And even though when the children speak about her, you know, I just got to suck it up, buttercup, and just, you know, talk to them because I want them to talk about it. You know, so for their grieving process, and then I'll just deal with it later. But yeah, it's just a struggle all round.
How does it feel to you to know that the rules are going to be stricter about who can do this procedure?
Knowing the pain we've gone through might not happen to anyone else is comforting, and knowing it's her legacy and it's some comfort to the children and I.
A man who was arrested on suspicion of manslaughter over Alice's death is on bail. Dane has been pushing for changes to the rules about who can carry out the filler BBL.
And do you feel that this law could have prevented Alice's death?
Well, no, if it was out there, we'd have known all this. No, it wouldn't have happened. End of. You know, just knowing the risks, knowing the complications, what we know now, it wouldn't have happened. So, no, it would have prevented it. You know, I hope it doesn't, and something gets put in place before it happens again, and another family's just ripped apart and destroyed. Because it will if something's not done sooner rather than later.
How does it make you feel that it took her death for there to be a change in the rules?
Angry, upset, just up, down, and it's a shame that it's taken someone's life for it now to be pushed out, and you know, for people to start listening, and for other peoples of power to start listening, and to, you know, it enforce this law to, you know, to stop other families and other people's lives being destroyed.
Do you think you'll be able to make peace with that?
I don't know yet. I'll tell you in a couple of years. I don't know. But for the moment, just getting these regulations in place, trying to make this industry safer than what it is just some sort of satisfaction at the moment for the children and I, yeah.
The government's proposals include that the most high-risk procedures, like liquid Brazilian butt lifts, must be done by a qualified healthcare worker who's registered with a professional council. Them and their premises will be policed by the Care Quality Commission, and they could be punished and fined if they break the rules. Then, for the less invasive treatments like Botox or facial fillers, the clinics offering these will need to get a licence from their local council by proving they meet training, safety and insurance rules.
I didn't expect it to be a house.
ITV News has been investigating the so-called Wild West of aesthetics for 2 years. We've gone undercover on day-long training courses for Brazilian butt lifts.
That's probably one of the most horrible videos I've seen.
Yeah.
Really, seriously, guys, that's just horrible.
Paul, you seem quite moved by that.
Yeah, I think I am, yeah.
We've revealed dangerous practices being done on the high street. We've spoken to those who've been left permanently scarred.
I feel really ugly. Yeah, I just don't feel like myself.
I had been injected with air bubbles, infection.
I said to my partner, I don't want to wake up tomorrow. I don't want to wake up feeling like this.
And track down rogue practitioners.
Given that several of your clients have needed hospital treatment and emergency surgery, why are you still carrying out the BBLs?
The Conservative government started to regulate the beauty sector and asked for the public's views.
The scheme that we intend to introduce is to support...
They had thousands of responses. This government is now planning to do another consultation, and today the Health Minister could not give a date for introducing the new law.
Given the urgency of regulating this sector, how can you justify carrying out a second public consultation in 2 years when that work has already been done by the previous government?
Well, the work has been done on some parts of that and bringing people together, and has given us the information, the intelligence that absolutely evidence is there that something needs to be done. The next stage is about the detail of that. And
so were the 10,000 responses to that public consultation done by the previous government not enough to work on drafting the legislation now, rather than doing another consultation?
They're enough to give us the basis for drafting the legislation. I know, I appreciate it sounds a bit bureaucratic, but law is complex.
I've spoken to Dane, the partner of Alice Webb, who died from a liquid BBL last year. He says she'd still be alive if this regulation had been in place then. What do you say to that?
Well, I mean, he and the family have done some amazing campaigning on this. It's so tragic for that family. It is complex, it will take some time, but we want to work with people to make it safe.
Dane's told me that there will be another death. He's convinced if this regulation is not brought in soon. What's your timeline on this?
I can't give an exact timeline because we have to work with, in the case of what we call red list procedures, the really critical ones. We work with the Care Quality Commission who regulate premises to make sure that people are qualified and the premises are right. So that's the priority. It will require discussion in Parliament as well because it is a change to parts of the law. So I don't want to give a date because I want to make sure we get on it as fast as possible, but it's done as well as it needs to be done as well. So the groundwork's being done, we will act, and then we'll do that as quickly as possible. But it's got to be done right. We can't rush this. We've got to do it properly.
Why has it taken the death of a young woman for this government to act?
Well, I think that, to be fair, not always fair to the last government, to be fair, they started acting by having that consultation and we're able to build on that. It shouldn't take a death for
You're not just
some
building
things
on
to
it though,
happen.
you're doing it again, aren't you? You're doing another public consultation.
No, it's a different, to be very clear, the consultation that's happened informs this next stage, and then what has to happen is to take the evidence from that consultation to go to the next level of detail, to get the red list sorted with the Care Quality Commission, and then work on the detail with local authorities. So it is different.
How are you getting on?
But there are thousands of aesthetics practitioners with no medical qualifications who have been able to build up businesses they could now face losing.
Anyone that doesn't keep to them standards, I personally don't think they deserve a place in this industry. If you can't keep up to the new regulation, you shouldn't have been doing the treatments in the first place because you don't have any care for the safety of the public.
It will now take months for the government to finalise its plans, but they are a big step towards stopping the damaged confidence and disfigurement that some in this industry have been able to inflict. Ellie Pitt, ITV News.
As the government launches plans for a crackdown on the Wild West cosmetic industry, we hear the shocking story of one woman who nearly died after a procedure went wrong. Sasha Dean had 4 sessions of a liquid Brazilian butt lift, a procedure she was told was risk-free. But on the final session, it nearly killed her. She ended up in hospital with sepsis and multiple organ failure. Sasha was placed into a coma and her family was told she had just a 5% chance of survival. Somehow she made it through and now wants to know why it's taken so long for authorities to act. Well, Sasha told Cree Summer-Horton about her ordeal and a warning this report contains graphic details of what happened.
I just remember vividly the doctors' faces standing at the bottom of my bed, almost like hopeless, looking at me like I could tell. And I remember thinking, oh, this isn't good. Sorry.
All Sasha wanted was to feel more comfortable in her own skin. Instead, she came close to death.
All of my life, I'd had issues with one side of my body, was a lot flatter than the other side. I tried absolutely everything.
After muscle training and other procedures didn't work, the liquid Brazilian butt lift was marketed to her as a safe, quick, lunchtime treatment.
So can you describe to me what the procedure felt like?
Pretty much the pain started straight away. And I thought, oh, this almost feels like surgery. It was quite brutal.
After Sasha's first BBL, she still wasn't happy with how she looked. Time after time, the clinic told her that she needed to keep coming back for more filler, but it was becoming too expensive. For her Christmas present, her partner Alan organised a 4th session with the same woman who carried out her previous injections.
She'd said that she'll do it at her house for us, so at a cheaper rate. And it was a lot cheaper, so it was decided we'd go down that route, and that's the time where obviously it ended up catastrophic. Where the alarm bells rang is where I'd had to keep standing up for her to check the symmetry. I obviously stood on the floor in bare feet, and the bottom of the feet were black, absolutely black. Virtually immediately, I feel like now I was going into shock in that car on the way home. I got home, I took my temperature, it was very, very, very low. Again, I took myself to bed and just wrapped myself up, but I can just remember all through the night just rolling around in pain.
While most people were out celebrating New Year's, Sasha had been in bed for 2 days, drifting in and out of consciousness.
It was very apparent that I was extremely unwell. I remember my partner making a call to my parents. I could hear them saying that we need to call an ambulance.
On the way to the hospital, her condition rapidly worsened. By the time she arrived, doctors told her partner she had sepsis.
I knew. He'd been told I was going to die. I don't know whether it's because I was dying that I felt this peace. The doctors were coming in and putting the central line in and everything in my arms and stuff, and I was vomiting and my bowels were opening. I was fitting, had a heart attack. I think at this stage my lungs were collapsing, I had pneumonia, my kidneys were failing. And they said basically that everything we're doing, it's not working.
She was taken to intensive care and placed in a coma. Doctors gave her just a 5% chance of survival.
I remember certain things whilst asleep. I remember Alan playing music and playing with my hair. I remember my dad leaning on me, telling me to fight. And I remember sort of really trying hard to say, I can hear you, I'm fighting.
Sasha was in a coma for 5 days and spent over a month in hospital.
Have there been any long-term health complications?
I've ended up with a leaking heart valve, the fatigue, the hair loss, the weakness. Yeah, it's never ending. Every day there's something else. The clinic and the practitioner that did me knows it's not safe, and their social media is still saying it's safe.
Sasha shared her story with MPs in Westminster, campaigning for Alice's law in memory of Alice Webb, who died after complications following a liquid BBL.
I'd like to see it just banned.
You went to Parliament calling for change, and it seems like they've finally listened. How do you feel?
Good, but so frustrated that we've had to have a death to get to this. Why has this not been jumped on sooner? Obviously, I'm really happy that there's changes being made, but frustrated that it's sadly so late.
While the proposals have been welcomed, there are still many unanswered questions about how the laws would work, and there are concerns it might force unscrupulous operators underground. Here's our health correspondent Rebecca Barry with a closer look at the plans.
Well, in recent years, we have seen a dramatic rise in cosmetic procedures, fuelled by social media, high street clinics, plus new technology and products. Last year, the beauty and personal care industry contributed more than £30 billion to the UK economy, employing almost 500,000 people. But regulation hasn't kept up pace. People with no medical training are carrying out risky treatments, in some cases leading to injuries and even death. In the last decade, Save Face, the National Register of Practitioners, has had 15,000 complaints. These photos were sent to ITV News from women who've had botched so-called liquid Brazilian butt lifts. And just today, fresh warnings from health officials over dozens of cases of botulism poisonings in England linked to fake Botox injections. So many welcome today's steps towards better regulation.
What we're seeing is unscrupulous lay people performing these procedures on the high street with no healthcare experience. They buy cheap products from places like China and Korea, and they perform these procedures in really dangerous settings like living rooms, hotel rooms and Airbnbs. So we really do need to clamp down on these cowboy practitioners.
But some of the details are still to be decided. The government says only suitably qualified healthcare professionals will be able to carry out the highest risk procedures like buttock or breast fillers. But does that mean a nurse, a doctor or a surgeon? Experts say invasive treatments should only be performed by a surgeon who in the UK would typically have at least 12 years of medical training. Meanwhile, licensing every clinic in England that offers Botox and lip fillers will mean setting up new national standards for education, training and qualifications. But we'll have to wait for another public consultation and then parliamentary scrutiny to find out the details. And it could be years before the regulations actually come into force. Then there are concerns about how it'll be policed, given the extra workload for already stretched local councils and the health care watchdog. And we know from our investigations into fake skinny jabs, Lucrezia, that enforcing the laws that are designed to keep the public safe aren't always effective.
All right, Rebecca, thank you.